Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. It was only a matter of time before Senior made his triumphant return and put the spotlight back on him. Chris Eubank Sr. is back, and he's got a lot to say about his son fighting Conor Benn next month. Stay right there. We'll be right back with BWTM Sports. Don't go anywhere. Looks like the advert doesn't even want to play today. Nice. Oh well. Yeah, I think even the video itself is fed up of being played now. It needs to be updated. So at some point when I get some time, I'm going to update the video. So very quickly, let me just put this in the comment section here. Your attention, everyone. I've uploaded a new video. Check it out today. If you're not busy, and leave a comment, would really appreciate it. Smash the like button. Let's get another one here for you very quickly. That's where the video is. Check it out afterwards. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. And obviously, if you are a regular, welcome back. Chris Eubank Sr., simply the best, as he's called, made a triumphant return to the boxing world. Basically talking about his son here. Not happy that his son is taking this catchweight fight against Conor Benn. He said that he's lost his son, one son already, and he's not prepared to lose another. Obviously, as well, you know the history of Chris Eubank Sr., the night he fought Michael Watson, and Watson wasn't able to box after that tragic night. Also, Eubank was involved, or he was part of an accident that happened on the road years ago, where it was rumored to believe that he was in the car. Maybe he wasn't driving, and somebody got killed in the process. I think something murky like that happened. So then you've also had the Nick Blackwell situation as well with Chris Eubank Jr. So there's been a lot of stuff around boxing, Eubank Jr., Eubank Sr., in and around their health of fighters' careers. And now Eubank Sr. And remember, in the beginning of all of this journey, if you go back and remember the days of at home with the Eubanks, I remember that Eubank never really wanted his son to box. It was Lennox Lewis who came and said, give the boy a chance, man. Give him a chance. You had the chance to box. Give him the chance to box as well. You got to give the boy a chance, So, Eubank kind of conceded and allowed Eubank Jr. to box. But he had to go through some rigorous testing and before his father allowed him to go out and box. So, and Eubanks already said that sport is a barbaric sport. Famously said it was a barbaric sport. Baron McGregor didn't like him saying it, caused a lot of a stir. Ben didn't like it. Oh, don't like him. Don't like that Eubanks. Don't like him, Thinks he comes from a silver spoon society. You know what I mean? So, Eubank put a lot of people's necks at a joint, in other words, because he was saying things that were actually true. The sport is, he was calling things for what it is. He said he didn't like the sport, but he happened to be good at the sport, and Ben didn't like that, and he just fueled the fire because Ben didn't like him anyway, and he thought like Eubank was privileged, and that kind of riled the fight even more. And for those of you who can remember, good evening, Latvinda, good to see you. For those of you who can remember, and if you have not seen it, please type in midweek sports special, Nick Owen, Ben Eubank sign a contract live on television. Hey, they need to do that more often. They need to get these live contract signings in the studios with people that don't like one another. Signed the contract right there on TV, live. You know what I mean? Ambrose Mendy was there. That was Ben's, I think, manager. And then you had, on the other side, Barry Hearn, you know, where Eubank most famously said, let's have some parliamentary procedure here. So it was quite all fun and games there. You could tell the two did not like one another. It was particularly Ben didn't like Eubank, and that's why Eubank Jr. talked so much about how much what Ben did to Eubank in a way the public loved Ben, big bad Ben. They loved Ben, and Eubank was really the villain. He became the villain because Ben didn't like him and the way Eubank carried himself. And, you know, that was a brutal fight. So Eubank Jr. remembers that. So now you've got Eubank Jr. coming in at a weight that is below his normal fighting weight of 160. But the hypocrisy about this, and Eubank, I've got to say, it's a bit of a hypocrite. Eubank fought many of his fights. I remember one fight he had in South Africa. He couldn't make the super middleweight division. And what Eubank was doing, there were rumors he starved himself for 3 days to make weight. Starved himself. I heard those stories about Eubank starving himself before. I used to hear it around the circuit that Eubank used to starve himself to make weight. So he's talking about the fight with him and his son and Ben. He used to starve himself. He's also told Conor Benn, to go and fight at welterweight. And his dad should look after him. He said, well, if your dad don't want to look after you, I'm going to look after my son. Well, again, Chris, I've got to pull you up about this. Because if it wasn't for you, right, and if you weren't in the corner that night when your son was trying to beat Billy Joe Saunders that night, had you not been in the corner that night, I have to say, the fight would have been different. Because it was your instructions. It was your instructions that cost your son to lose that fight. And I have to say that your son took more risks fighting Billy Joe Saunders than you did early in your career. I don't know how many fights you had before you fought Nigel Benn, right? So there's a bit of hypocrisy there from Chris Sr. You know, he's saying all this stuff about, oh, well, the safety of my son and this and that. He may say, you know what? I've been there. I've gone down a hard road. I've done it myself. I don't want it for my son. Okay, fine. Sure, I get it. And I get the dangers of this fight. But you knew about the dangers of this fight way before. You can't tell me, Chris, that you only just found out about the fight and you just found out. No, I think this is what I think Eubank is doing. I think he knows if he'd made a fuss about the fight and about the weight way back then, fight wouldn't happen. Because that's the sort of character and a sort of influence I believe Chris Sr. can have. And I do believe he can pull his son out the fight. What I think he's done is where we now, September 13th, negotiating. So they could say, you know what? If you don't sort this weight out properly and it's a good weight for my son, fight is done. And with so much hype going into this fight, I'm sure there's investment and a lot of stuff behind the scenes going on. There is no way they're going to want to pull the plug on this fight. What? A month to go? Less than a month to go? They're going to pull the plug on this fight? This historic fight? Because of the weight? Really? And Ben himself came out and said, in the interview, the face-off, he said, oh, it's only you, you know what I mean? Yeah, we would have done one. Oh, fought you at 160. Bang, right there. Right there, he said, I'll fight you 160. Bang, you see that right there? And you better go, 160, yeah? You fight us at 160? Okay. Well, I'm now going to pull this fight because Ben himself has said he'd fight you at 160. Right. Get to what? Fight at 160. Fight this fight at 160 at your natural weight. And let's see if this fight will still go ahead. If Ben don't care what weight you're at. So to me, yes, his father's got a right to be concerned about his weight. But secondly, I think that it's negotiation tactics. Eubank has played a smart chess move here. It's like, yeah, he said, right, I'm concerned about my son. You know, I've got another son that's passed away recently. You know, I was involved in a tragic fight with Michael Watson. I don't need to remind you of that. My son's been involved in a fight with Nick Blackwell. I don't need to remind you of that. So, parliamentary process, I don't know. But to me, he said it, and both Bens were like, from what I understand, were like, so if Conor Benn really believes he can fight Eubank at 160, the way he was talking that face-off, it don't matter, mate. Don't worry about what I'm thinking. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about what I'm thinking, mate. Don't worry. You're a clown. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? If that's the case, fight at 160. Let's get it on. No problems. Fighters at 160. Conor Benn's coming up. No problems. Fighters on. Eubank doesn't need to worry about Eubank Jr. being the weight range. Eubank doesn't need to be talking about, at 60% I'll beat you, and talking about I won't have sex for 2 weeks for you, and I won't have sex for a week for Jake Paul. I mean, Chris Eubank Jr. has really come out of his shell and has really come out, and he really is talking the trash talk, and he really is a chip of the old block. If anything, it's funnier listening to Chris Jr. than listening to Chris Sr. talk. Chris Sr. sounded like he came straight out of Oxford University. Chris Jr. has got he's got some real swag about him. I've always liked Chris Jr., but even more so now I like him. I like him the way he's able to trash talk and to talk that way. If he could talk that way with Jamal Charlo, yeah, it will make it even more fun. But for now, we've got Conor Benn, which we know really isn't a real grudge match. It's just the two fathers fought. That was a real grudge match. And these two are the sons, and it's a money maker. It's a lot of money. I don't think they hate one another. I just think they're trying to make a lot of money. That's what I think. And this story sells. And who's going to want to be the person to pull the plug? Chris Sr., because his dad's, because he wants to protect his son. Who's going to come in and say anything about that? Oh, and by the way, let me just add another thing in there to the twist. This is where Eubank Sr. would be considered difficult to work with. See this thing he said here about his son? They would call him, these are reasons why he's difficult to work with. Why is difficult to work with? Because he won't take any BS from the promoter. That he won't take you must fight this fight. If you don't fight this fight, I'm not going to promote you again. He won't take any of that BS. You can't tell Eubank that stuff. Eubank is the fighter. He knows his rights, more or less. He'll tell you as it is. And he'll tell you how these people swindle him before his own eyes. So, yeah. Those are my thoughts on the whole thing, because I don't know if he'll pull out of this fight. I don't know if this fight will be a pull out. What I do know is that Conor Benn in that face-off saying about he'll fight at 160 and the weight wasn't an issue, then they put it back on the Benns. All right, fight this fight to go. You want this fight to go ahead? No problems. 160. No problems. Couple of pounds, as people say. It's only a couple of pounds, mate. It's only a couple of pounds. Yeah, couple of pounds. That's right. So Conor can be smashing it in the gym and smashing it in the gym and getting bigger and smashing it even more so. And Eubank Jr. can continue smashing it with a bucket of KFC and keep smashing those buckets of KFC even more so now because he gets the fight at 160. And Eubank is still laughing all the way to the bank. And a lot of people think this fight will get cancelled. I never think the fight was going to happen. It was just a PR stunt. I think the fight's going to happen. It's got to happen. And there's too much money on the line for it not to happen. Too iconic. And if this pisses Ben off, then we might get Eubank versus Ben 4, because we got Eubank versus Ben 3, the Gladiators. And if you haven't seen the Gladiators show between Ben and Eubank, that was fun. That was great. It was brilliant stuff. But that Eubank versus Ben face-off was absolutely hilarious. Eubank, for me, wiped the absolute floor with Conor in terms of the way he was talking to him. It was funny, so funny. But Conor said, You know, you got daddy issues. You have. My father's all right, but you've got some daddy issues. You know, after that, I was thinking to myself, you know what? I could probably sit down all day and watch trash talk all day long. I think they should do a series called Trash Talk, right? And just get two people to sit in a room and badmouth one another and trash talk one another. And if the votes are in and we want to see the two fight, then I think they should fight. That's what I think. Get two people in a room that like kind of like a Jerry McCall show, but I mean it'd be absolute trash TV. But hey, who doesn't mind a bit of trash TV and mind other people's business? Get two people in a room that don't like one another, it's got a grievance, put them in a room and just talk about one another back and forth. You know, it'd be quite fun to sit down and watch, hilarious to watch them. Like maybe get them between a glass panel and get them shouting insults at one another. That'd be quite good. And then after that, pop in a room and get them to box one another. As evil and as wicked as that sound, there are people that will tune in to watch that show week in, week out. The thing is, people watch boxing. And this takes away all them promoters talking rubbish and a fake beef and epic and all that crap, right? And let's just fight the century. Kept that to one side and just keeps completely raw, completely in touch with everybody. You know, that's watch montages of people getting fit and banging it out in the gym. And, you know, it's just, I'm in the best shape of my life. Forget all that stuff and all the YouTube. Forget all that. We get straight back down to the common man and woman on the street, the common man and woman on the street, just having beef and having real issues with one another and settling it out in the ring. You know, maybe having a ring next door. They dispute what they've got to, they say what they've got to say. Right, lads, you've got beef, you've got an issue between one another, you don't like it, there's the ring, sort it out. And then sit and beat the crap out of you. For about a round, get a referee there, let them fight one another until, not to, you know, and get the referee in, stop the fight, and then they patch it up and make it out. That's what should happen. Like, one room to talk trash, next room to fight it out. That's that. I think it'd be fun. But hey, let me know what you lot think in the comment section. Lavina says, Eubank should have taken a GGG fight. Yeah, I think he should take the GGG fight after the Canelo fight. If he doesn't beat Canelo. Right. Let me leave that right here because I've got to do another video. Thank you always for watching. It has been BWTN Sports. Thank you for returning. If you're a returning viewer, if you haven't, and it's first time watching us, subscribe to the channel. See you soon. Take care.